my lovelies, and welcome to Spring Tea with Eileen Walsh at Walsh Law. And today we're going to take a little trip. We're going to leave all that lost stuff behind and take a little trip in our imagination and possibly even on a jet plane. Many of you will have heard me in 2019 talk about a program that I had designed to take you to Ireland with me. It was so disappointing when we were unable to go last year because of the pandemic. But we just discovered this week that this trip has opened up for us again. So I'm going to remind you what the trip is all about and invite you to come with me. And I am going to put the itinerary for the trip right here in the comments after we have finished up our chat. So this is a journey of purpose and discovery. Again, for those of you who have been my audience for several years now, you've heard me talk many times about an ethical will, a legacy letter, writing a beautiful story about your life, its meaning and its purpose, what your values are, the stories that support those, the difficult times you've been through, the times and accomplishments that you're most proud of, what you're grateful for, your hopes and blessings for your family, and how you want to be remembered. This is such a beautiful letter. I encourage everyone to write it. And the trip I designed to Ireland was to take you with me, go visit all the beautiful sites and places, and each day in an inspired space we would write one section of this particular legacy letter. And I have designed a program. You can find out more about it at sharemylegacy.com. I'll pop that in the chat also, to help you through this process. It can be a little overwhelming to dive into your life and start talking about your childhood, your first baby. It can be overwhelming and we can get bogged down. So the program I have designed helps you move slowly through it, helps you sort of skim across it, helps you unwrap the essence of yourself through this 20-page process. So it's just a brief bubble of your life. It's not an entire memoir, but it certainly leaves your footprint in history and links the generations that went before to the generations that will come after you. So it's a beautiful process, a wonderful gift for your family, and I can think of no more wonderful place to write this lovely legacy letter than in Ireland. So in our 12-day program, we're going to get started. We're going to fly from New York to Dublin. We'll spend a couple of days in Dublin. We'll go to the Immigration Museum. There we're going to write our first section. Then we're going to move through the country. We're going to go up north because of course I have to take you to my beloved Derry. We are going to go to the Seamus Heaney home place, our Nobel Prize winning poet. And there we're going to write a section of our ethical will. We're going to go to the Ulster American Folk Park. We're going to spend a little bit of time in Derry. We're going to move to Galway. We will spend some time there. We're going to write a section of our ethical will in an abbey. We were going to then start moving down to Clare. We're going to go to Killarney. We will write a section there. We're going to go to the beautiful, beautiful Dingle. My husband comes from Dingle, and any of you who know Kerry people will know that they think it's not just the most beautiful place in the world, just that nowhere else compares to it. It is beautiful. So we're going to write a section of our ethical will there. Then we're going to go back to Dublin, finish off, and with our beautiful ethical will written, we're going to head back to the States. We're going to have lots of wonderful food, visit all the glorious places. We're going to listen to music, hear artists, visit the Peace Museum. It's going to be a wonderful trip. We're going in September of this year. Our dates are September 12th to the 23rd. There's going to be information about the trip here in the chat if you want to know more. as always, you can contact me at Curlin Walsh Law. That information is right there also. Related to that, I'm going to talk a little bit more about Seamus Heaney, and this is National Poetry Month. So I wanted to share a little bit more with you about Seamus Heaney, our Nobel Prize winning poet. And I'm going to read for you a piece I wrote after visiting the Seamus Heaney home place when it opened back in 2018, I believe it was. I had visited the exhibition when I was home visiting my lovely, frail, elderly parents, and that made me, I was feeling a little sentimental anyhow, and I was absolutely taken to my knees by the beauty of the experience of the Seamus Heaney home place. Seamus Heaney was a poet and won the Nobel Prize for Literature in 1995. He grew up close to me in County Derry, and he is our source of pride and joy. In addition to his literary translations and his academic research, he wrote of the local, the rural, and the domestic, and his poems are stark and spare, yet radiant and beautiful. I have always loved Seamus Heaney's poems, not just for their lyrical beauty, but for their very existence. I was shocked that the people and places of my humble childhood and simple landscape were worthy of verse and praise. Shocked that a rural Catholic from a large family, a poor stony farm who cut turf out of the ancient earth for the fire exactly like we did, was celebrated not just as the village bard, but by the world of letters, Oxford, Harvard, not just also as one of the great writers of all time, but as a winner of a Nobel Prize. By acknowledging his work, they ratified our existence, which otherwise felt a little downtrodden, a little shameful. Visiting the Seamus Heaney home place, I was struck by two things. Not just, once again, by the cadence of his speech and the power of his work, but what he had to teach us as writers and speakers and presenters, as parents, as people in this human experience. He showed us that our experience is trustworthy. He urged us to write about our personal memories, not just to preserve them, but to open them up, move them along, and make them current. That's exactly what I want you to do with your ethical will, your legacy letter, to write about your life, your experience, its meaning, and what it has to inform your family, your children, your friends, your church, the world. So as I reviewed Seamus Heaney's work, I encourage all of you, all of us, to trust our experience. Let the memories of our childhood, our teenage years, our adulthood connect to and illuminate our present, and to move us along, perhaps, if we were lucky enough, to a glimpse of wholeness. And to pair the words on Seamus Heaney's plain gravestone, to walk on air against our better judgment. I'm going to end with a poem, one of his most famous poems, and one which won Ireland's favourite poem about 2 years ago. And for all of us who have elderly parents, parents who are now struggling in their final years, I know this poem will resonate. The Follower by Seamus Heaney. His shoulders glowed like a full sail stung between the shafts in the furrow. The horses strained at his clicking tongue, an expert. He would set the wing and fit the bright steel-pointed sock. The sod rolled over without breaking. At the head ring, with a single pluck of reins, the sweating team turned round and back into the land. His eye narrowed and angled at the ground, mapping the furrow exactly. I stumbled in his hobnailed wake, fell sometimes on the polished sod. Sometimes he rode me on his back, dipping and rising to his plod. I wanted to grow up and plough, to close one eye, stiffen my arm, 'cause all I ever did was follow in his broad shadow round the farm. I was a nuisance, tripping, falling, yapping always, but today it is my Father who keeps stumbling behind me and will not go away. Such beautiful, poignant words, which I know resonate with many of us. So thank you so much once again for listening, for joining me. Thanks for your comments. And I will see you again next Friday for our spring tea. Thanks and bye. If you end this